We're live on the red carpet. This is the most anticipated night of the year for Hollywood.
Good evening, distinguished guests, and those who don't identify as that.
We have seen a lot of red carpets. There is something undeniably special about this one every year.
I have to say, this is, there is an energy here you just cannot explain. I mean, someone's life could change tonight.
I'm so excited to be here. Look at this.
Look at that.
So glitzy, so beautiful.
I mean, there's like, what, 500 celebrities here? So like, what's not to like?
How are you?
Leo's over there.
I know, Leo.
Tom Hanks is just there. This is crazy.
It is glamorous chaos, I'd say is what it is. A lot of
like
lights, a lot of bright personalities, and you're just trying to swim your way through this current.
We were just talking about this beautiful dress.
Thank you.
Who made the dress?
Versace.
And you said this is more dress than you've ever had.
The first time I've had this much dress, but I think it works.
How are you
Ask
feeling?
anyone, it's all about me.
It's all about you. What
With
sign?
me, it's always
What
about
sign are you?
Guess.
Leo?
Yeah.
So am I.
Classic.
August
Classic
what?
Leo.
You look confused.
So, I saw Natalie Portman and then I was trying to get up and not fall over. And
How is it feeling? What's going through your mind right now? Tell me everything.
I mean, I'm very excited to be here. This is like the end of an awards run. I came from Sundance, which was a different movie, and the BAFTAs and this, so I'm exhausted.
We're giving out an award together and we haven't really thought it through. We're trying, so I think we're going to do... We're actually thinking of just coming out and crying.
Both of you look stunning. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Ryan.
You were the topic of, I think, 3 different documentaries at Sundance. How did you do that?
I just know interesting people.
Wow, you really are connected. I saw you yesterday. You've already been inside. You've seen the set. You've rehearsed what you're going to do, and you can tell us nothing.
I can tell you nothing. I just cannot trip. I cannot flub any names.
Thank you for joining us. Be sure to come back for our coverage of Hollywood's best after party. We'll have all the stars, all the glamour, and all the moments everyone will be talking about. Good night, you guys.
Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for these awards to recognize entertainment in marketing in various fields. And today we have with us a group of very awesome judges. I was hoping we would start off with a little bit of red carpet, folks. So who's got an interesting story to tell? I'm going to start by putting the gentlemen in ties on the spot and say, who had to watch a video today in order to put that tie on?
Well, I thought I might need to watch one, but you know what? My wife and I've been watching The Crown, season 4. And so, I got my inspiration of Windsor Not from there. And after about 7 or 8 tries, it's like riding a bike, I think. It does come back to you, that sense memory.
Yeah, no, I felt the same, Martin. I had to do it a few times before, and it doesn't even look great. But this was several attempts to get it to look like this. So.
Mohit, you had a story there. What are you wearing?
So I did the debate because surprisingly, my kids have dressed better during this past year than I have, and so I was doing the debate about whether I should try to actually live up to the dress code. And then I realized that my best stuff is from prop departments from various places that I've visited. And this is one from the 1984 Olympics. Someone shot a film somewhere, and I'm the benefit of from the props department. So I think they call it semi-formal. I don't know.
I love it. I love it. Megan, do you have an interesting story there?
I do. I've got my mother's glitter on. I went into the closet and got this. And my mother, I just remembered, my mom who liked the glitz, she was at Studio 54 in the 70s. And so who knows, maybe she wore this.
Ooh, I'm sure she has some good stories.
Well, yeah, I don't think she was like snorting cocaine off of anyone, but she was
you don't
really
think.
excited.
We don't know.
Unconfirmed reports.
This show is completely changed all of a sudden.
So yeah, I might be reliving this. I might be spiriting, living through her in this jacket. I love it.
Darian, how are you topping that for us?
You know what? I'm going with representing West Coast, the very wet coast these days, as we all know. And so I've gone with my marine woolly sweater today to stay cozy and warm and inside today.
I love it. I love it. Rohini, you next.
You know what's not like riding a bike and doesn't come back to you? Makeup. Like I so long trying to do some makeup, and then I got on a FaceTime call, and the person on the other end was like, "Oh, I like that you're going without makeup." I was like, "Well, what did I just spend the last hour doing?" So I don't have the skill.
People should just say less things before they've got them. Andrea, talk to us over there.
Okay, well, I'm a fashion challenge, but the best accessory is a champagne flute. So that's what I'm
Cheers
with.
to that.
Cheers. You know what? I'm doing the Johnny Carson. You don't know what's in the cup. Look.
We like that.
Yes. If anyone remembers who Johnny Carson is, who's watching this.
We aim to cater to a wide range of entertainment.
Yeah. Can we talk for a minute about how funny that red carpet video was, Susan? Like I just saw it before everyone else today for the first time, and I was like, that was damn hilarious. Good job.
So good. I think it's a great moment to sort of shout out the team, to Lindsay Leclerc and Jeremy Leal on our team, who put all these little details together that made it fun. So thanks. And to Mithran, who's sort of quietly in the background, making you guys come in and out of this thing tonight. And hopefully it'll be fun. There'll be a couple of videos that we'll play. We're going to get into the actual awards in a second. Before that, any final comments, any predictions for the night? Of course, we know our own categories, but not everyone knows everything.
No.
A lot of surprises. How about that? That's the cliche that you usually use on award shows. There's going to be a lot of surprises.
Snubs, some hardcore snubs and surprises. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also just a really nice trip down memory lane.
I've got some money riding on the TikTok trend.
Yeah.
So
and almost a snapshot of the way the things are right now and so unique. So yeah, I think it's very interesting also to think about how quickly things changed and shifted. And so very timely to have a discussion like this and reflect like this.
Yeah.
Agreed.
How we got through the last year, which feels like 5.
Right? Like TikTok therapy, you know?
Right?
Yeah. TikTok therapy. It's true. That's what got me through the year with me, TikTok.
100%.
Then you're going to have to go to therapy because of your TikTok problem. So it's going to be a little bit of a...
My For You page is messed up. My For You page is totally messed up.
It's like a whole other kind
You're going to get a lot of therapy videos now.
Yeah.
Mine has been a mix of TikTok and Great Canadian Baking Show, along with the Great British Baking Show. That's been very soothing for my soul.
Are you a baker, Darian? Are you yourself a baker?
No, but I appreciate a good baked good. I dabbled in muffins quite a bit during my university days, but I appreciate a good bake, a good hard bottom. You don't want a soggy bottom.
Dabbled in muffins is amazing.
Yeah, actually, there is a great
praise of the awards.
That's a good website, dabbledinmuffins.com. Although, who knows, maybe not.
That's the whole other meaning.
Will's picking this up or not.
I know, right? It's a different kind of college experimenting.
I think I'm gonna need the videos, the exercise videos, because I was really svelte on the I was looking really svelte on the red carpet. I gained a little COVID pounds.
Right?
I have to say the best Photoshop on that red carpet was Susan Yu as Mindy Kaling.
Yes.
I was very into that. People get to keep their jobs around here for that. All right, folks, we're almost at 4:00, and hopefully some more public will get to see it at this point. So Mithran will sort of cue us in to getting this started.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. I'm pretty sure Susan's supposed to be here welcoming us right now to the. There we go. There's Susan.
I got kicked out. We'll get back to things. We've got contingency plans, folks. Mithran, do you want to re-queue? All right, everyone. After a short sort of disappearance there, we're going to pick this back up and welcome our judges. So we're going to get a few different people coming in right now and presenting a few categories. There are 10 categories in total. Will's going to join me first, and we're going to set this up for you. Hey, Will.
Hi, Susan. Very excited to be doing this fun award show. I think it's going to be hilarious. So yeah, really excited. Should we first explain to everyone what this is all about if someone's just
I think so. Let's start over there.
So so we do weekly the Thirsty Thursday, which is morphed into so many things, taking a life of its own on. And we decided after a good year of doing that or more that we wanted to do our own award show. This is award show season. So we wanted to get in on that action and do our Thirst List Awards, our Marketing Thirst Awards, kind of looking back at all the things we talked about on Thirsty Thursday and nominating in different categories and choosing a winner.
Yeah. And I think our sort of hook for the whole thing is what was entertaining, because God knows we all needed a little levity in 2021. And I think brands delivered that, whether intentionally or unintentionally in some cases, over the course of many communications. So I think at this point, we'll quickly tell you who our judges are, and you'll start to meet them one at a time as they come up to present. But first, Mithran, do you want to cue us up with the nominees so people get to see what the categories are that we are judging? So yes, we have a total of 10, as we said, categories, and we're first going to throw it to Rohini Mukherjee and Martin Waxman, PR specialists and royalty of reputation. Come up on stage, say hello to the people.
Hello.
Hello
So
out
happy
there.
to be here.
Yeah, me too. And wow, it's pretty exciting. It almost feels like we're all together.
We're doing our best, Martin. It needs a little bit of
and we got all spruced up for the evening and everything, right? So
we totally did. All right, so the two of you will now take us through the first three categories of the night. I'm going to take Will off screen, and then as you present the nominees, Mithran will cue you in with a video. Can't wait to see what wins, you guys.
Okay, so our first category is newsjacking moment of 2021. This one is an interesting category, isn't it, Martin? I feel like there was a lot of idle time with all of us sitting at home. And so we were probably watching and listening to and reading the news with a lot of curiosity, and brands and entities and celebrities jumped on the bandwagon to to take advantage of that, sometimes with great success and humor, and sometimes in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh yeah, it comes down to that one little key thing: judgment, knowing when you can insert yourself into a story and when maybe it's not such a good idea. But there were some pretty creative newsjacking moments this year.
Lots of really good ones. So let's look at the nominees.
Okay, and now it's over to me to introduce the winner here. No favorites on my part. No, the winner is Bernie Sanders Mittens. And I was trying to newsjack this particular moment. I didn't do it really well. I'm actually wearing two different colored mittens, but are slightly different. Anyway, they're gone now. But Bernie Sanders, congratulations, Senator Sanders. You didn't win the race for the presidency, but hey, you won the race for the memancy. Is that a word?
It was so good. It was such a good moment. I'm sure he did not intend to be anything of a meme, but it was brilliant.
Yeah, he really was good. Okay, so I guess it's on to the second award in our category. And it's an award that I think I do pretty well. In fact, I think all of us do pretty well because it's the best apology. Comes naturally to, or sorry, worst apology. I think we do the best apologies as Canadians, but many other people, certainly our friends south of the border, or maybe even our former, colonial masters in the UK, they don't really embrace it the way we do, the way we get into just saying, I'm really sorry. What do you think about that, Rohini?
Absolutely. I mean, I think if you're saying anything after the word sorry, you've already flubbed it. It's I'm sorry, period. That's it. No bit, but no, no clauses there. Just I'm sorry. So this is going to be an interesting trip down, seeing all the wrong turns you can take on the way to just I'm sorry.
Yeah, non-apology.
Yeah, some people really just flubbed what could have been a very simple admission of guilt. So in a very 2021 way of announcing a winner, I'm pulling the winner out of a mask. And it is the royal family talking about recollections may vary. I mean, this was so royally bad that Susan and I actually created a whole podcast episode just around the statement, recollections may vary. But definitely, I mean, gaslighting, bullying, it's all in there. One sentence.
Oh, yeah. And, it's funny because I mentioned before the show, so I don't think anyone heard this. I've been watching The Crown. I had to watch The Crown to learn how to tie my tie. And in one of the episodes, they described the royal family as boorish, rude, and arrogant. And I would say they put those same traits into their apologies as we've seen.
I know. It's baffling. They do a lot of things. They have done a lot of things well, but apologizing is not in that list.
No, not in their blood.
No.
The royal blood.
Okay. Let's move on to the last of our categories, which is the phenomenon, a movement of the best phenomenon, a movement of 2021. Again, a lot of idle time. So a lot of things that would be sort of a passing moment in the before times really sort of escalated into a movement or moment to remember. So what do you think, Martin?
I think a lot of digital moments, right? Because we weren't able to get out very much certainly in the first part of 2020. We can start to hopefully go out more now that we're all vaccinated and things like that. We have to be careful, but a lot of digital, and hype really about things that captured our attention. Now the question is, are they going to be able to sustain themselves as we go ahead?
Absolutely. So let's.
Wow, lots of great nominees on there. TikTok, which certainly was a sensation, that's for sure. But the winner is a word I love to say, non-fungible token, because it's such a great word. Nobody knows what they are. We have no idea. I actually was thinking I want to make a fungible token to kind of go up against the non-fungible tokens, but they seem to have really caught on. A lot of talk about how they're being used in the metaverse, and I haven't bought one yet. Have you, Rohini?
I have not, and my partner, who's an architect, has promised to create one. So that's my nest egg plan. But I have seen no makings of this. And I saw that now Stella Artois is using a non-fungible token as a non-fungible tip source to actually support the hospitality industry, which is great. I mean, I think if we've done this amazing, digital creatives have really brought this new concept to life, and now it's actually being used for good, which is wonderful.
Yeah, and it feels like it's explained blockchain to me in a way, or it's helped me understand blockchain on a whole other level, because while it's non-tangible, it's tangible. It's one of those weird ideas, but I understand that. And you start to see, okay, as we do enter the metaverse, as it develops with our avatars and we're buying things, non-fungible tokens are a great way to prove that we own what we own, or our avatars own what they own. But I'm not crazy about the idea of buying a piece of non-fungible art. Like Biz Stone's first tweet sold for what, $3.7 million or something like that. He gave it to charity, but I can look it up. I don't need to own that.
Yeah, and I think it's it's interesting. It's sort of like art, isn't it? In some ways, the value is in the eye of the beholder, and there's you can't take that to the bank, but there you go.
Yeah. What I was going to say, something that of two of those phenomenons colliding, and I totally dismissed them last year. It's funny. I went on Clubhouse for the first time last March, where I entered a room where Lindsay Lohan was hosting a chat about NFTs. And I was like, this is messed up. And then here we are, this much later, and NFTs are everywhere. Very interesting.
Well, do we have a second to talk? Oh, go ahead.
I thought I'll add some more guests on to get some more thoughts on the subject. Yeah, go ahead, Martin.
I was just going to say, do we have a second to talk about Clubhouse? Because it seems like it's really gone down, but Twitter Spaces is going up. And I don't know if you noticed today, when you open Twitter on your phone, there was a little check this new button out. It's like, oh my gosh, they've got a button for Spaces. So they're really, really pushing that.
Mohit, thoughts on NFTs winning this?
So I know quite a bit about this. I've minted an NFT. I own one. I've gone through it with a traditional artist. I've done it with a musician. It's fascinating, but it's also not it's not for everybody yet, because there are many ways. So there are two layers, right? There's the education side, where you've got to learn how to best use what you're building. And then there's the business side, where you've got to learn how blockchain and crypto works, and why anybody that puts actual factual dollar amount to anything is kind of full of shit at this point, right? Nothing is worth something until something is worth something, right? So it's but it's been fascinating to follow. And on the social audio stuff, yes, I agree, Clubhouse has. But Clubhouse has also made two features that has made the engagement be a little bit weird. And that is one, they're letting you record rooms now, and that's caused some people to be a little less free in that social audio environment. And Twitter Spaces is now giving you the ability to do ticketed spaces. So now you can privatize your audience. So those two forces are really opposite in what social audio was trying to sort of create for people, which was this like everybody come in and we can all talk about like-minded things. So it'll be interesting to see which one ends up being what for what type of business. Anyway, that's my report. Click, like, subscribe, and
very good. Very, very awesome.
Yeah, I want to know what your NFT was, if you can share it.
Oh, so well, I guess I shouldn't, because I don't know if the artist is sticking by it now. I did it and it exists, but at the same time, I think she got kind of cold feet, because to be honest with you, because to be honest with you, for a physical artist, this world is bonkers. And so somebody who knows how to paint well, somebody who has built a business, building a reputation in the standard art world, I can lead them to shore, but if they don't want to swim. So I think what ended up happening right around the time when Christie's was making the announcement that they were going to venture into NFTs and the legitimacy started to happen, whatever we minted exists, but it didn't become part of their PR/marketing for their collection, because they needed to sell physical goods.
That's very cool. Thank you for that. Andrea, talk to us about some of the intellectual property things surrounding this. It's like, especially with things like NFT, that's the big draw, isn't it, for artists? So clue us in on what you think there.
Oh my goodness, it's a wild, wild west, right? And this is the issue. The law doesn't really keep up with all that's going on in the metaverse and NFT. So I'm really looking forward to what happens as people start having disputes around this, right? Like, how are you able to actually show ownership? What's going to happen if there are disputes? And as we move more and more into the metaverse and have your avatars, it's just going to be a fascinating new world where I think a lot of the traditional structures or the traditional ways that law responds to disputes are not going to work in this new world. So I'm really excited to see what happens.
That's really great. Darian, thoughts?
Yeah, I come from the opposite side where I'm like, I feel like the internet was originally designed for the democratization of everything, like shared information, and those that couldn't afford things, you had access to all this information. I feel like the big tech folks in Silicon Valley created NFTs and Clubhouse. It's kind of like with their wealth and their idea of being able to control things, they attempted Clubhouse to control things and bottleneck things and make it this elitist system. Like you have to get an invitation, and at first it was only for the iPhone, where I feel like there's enough people, there's enough rallying cries of humans to say, no, the internet's not for that. The internet is for freedom and expression and sharing and access and liberty. And so I'm so glad that Clubhouse didn't survive, and I don't think it will survive, because there's enough humans that get the fact that it's about equal access, not about elitism.
It's an interesting perspective, yeah.
Just very quickly, Clubhouse hasn't gone away. Just so that we're clear about people who are watching live, they definitely they don't the boom they had at the beginning of the pandemic, but it's still very much a highly funded and well-touted business
platform. Yeah, and there are things to listen to or on there, but it doesn't have the same hype.
Yeah,
I agree.
So will NFTs be that a year from now?
That'll be interesting. Can we quickly just take stock of the fact that a year ago today, one of the nominees was looked at as a conspiracy theory, and then we see that power of the hashtag Free Britney. Britney was just freed recently. Like, I didn't vote for this one as my favorite, but on the emotional side, I was definitely voting for it. But it was kind of amazing. Like a year ago, we just thought it really was conspiracy theory. So yeah, pretty cool.
It really was. It's really cool. Megan, and finally, a quick minute from you. I personally, when I read headlines which says if the metaverse takes off or what is an NFT, I'm like, okay, that's already like a belief around innovation and what is possible in the future, because what do we know sitting here? So talk to us about the mindset behind some of these things, which pretty much didn't exist like a year or two ago.
Yeah, I mean, this is, my father was one of those innovative people. And I think that, I think that the belief that he had was, and most entrepreneurs who create these things, is anything is possible, right? This is kind of what the foundational belief of all these creative people are. So, I think it's really interesting, just the Clubhouse thing. I mean, I'm just the average person with the Clubhouse thing going to that. There's just too much coming at me. Like, as the average person, there's just too much. And Clubhouse, I could not get into it at all. I think I was on twice. I think one time I was on with you guys. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, potentially.
It's too much during this era, this COVID era. There's just like too much of everything, right? We got to get back to one-on-one. That's just, can't wait to see people all the time. Anyway.
That's awesome. Thank you all for joining us for this segment. I'm going to leave Andrea and Mohit on screen to continue with the next 3 categories and take the rest of us off for now. We'll see you back in a bit.
Hello.
Hello.
So Andrea and I are actually meeting for the first time, both virtually as well, right? So this is great.
Right.
I'm so honored to be presenting with you, and it's nice to meet you. I'm glad to see a smiling face beside me that is both healthy and meet a new friend at the same time. So
Thank you.
What are we presenting today?
We are presenting Best Ad, Thirstiest Billionaire Bro, which was my favorite category title, and Most Pointless Rebrand of 2021. And the one with the best ad was particularly, because I don't watch ads anymore, except when I'm watching 90 Day Fiancé, because that's the only live TV that I watch. But I thought, it's really interesting to think about, what do TV ads mean now in the era of streaming and YouTube and so many people, moving away from traditional TV?
Yeah, I agree. I also wonder sometimes, do you use the same ad you use on TV as you do on YouTube? Because then on somewhere else it could be annoying, whereas on TV it could have major impact. So you're right, it's been tricky. And then of course we can't forget tone, right? What tone in advertisement works right now? When you see people not wearing masks, do you go, or do you say, oh, no? Remember, for the longest time, everyone was putting the captions.
Yes, and they were like, this was filmed before COVID. But it was funny how quickly we got accustomed to seeing people in masks, right? Like just shortly into the pandemic, when we were seeing these ads that had been filmed before, it was like, why are they so close together? Why are they wearing masks? It was really interesting how quickly we shift to what's considered normal. And sorry, go ahead.
No, I apologize for cutting you off. Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you want ads to reflect what you're going through, or do you want them to be a form of escape?
Well, I think the 3 finalists we have are pretty wide in variety, and so let's take a look at the nominees, I guess, and then we'll showcase the winner.
Sounds good.
Welcome to my vagina. In here, I make the rules. Rule number 1, keep it real, hun. And that means no hormones. Because hormones just weren't right for me.
I bet that if our cats were bigger, they'd try to eat us. Creepy, right? That's why this Halloween I'm treating him with these. Good kitty.
You know what? It's funny because I looked at our script and I realized, I just read your part. So I apologize. I got excited in our conversation. I was giving so much input. I forgot that we were doing an actual show. So the winner is, to get back on track here, the Extra Gum ad. And Chewbacca says the winner is the Extra Gum ad. There was a prop I forgot to add to my thing there. And what a sign of the times for that ad. And I think it kind of got us back to talking again about ads and how relevant they have to be.
Yeah, I'm really glad this won. This is the one that I voted for. But I think that question of, do you want it to reflect what you're feeling? And that's how we were feeling at not at the end, but at the point when the world was reopening again, and like giving some expression to that. And yeah, that ads can be still relevant in this streaming and non-traditional TV environment. All right, so let's move on to the 5th category, which is the Billionaire Bro of 2021. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I'd like to know what categories were left out when considering, because the Billionaire Bro has its own category. One thing's for certain, that while we had plenty to talk about the potential nominees and where the various impacts could be, one thing it is for certain, Andrea, is there's more people on that as a result of COVID than ever. In fact, pharmaceutical owners and people, I was doing some research, and soon enough, we're going to be talking about a few more billionaires that don't fit that sort of zeitgeist right now, people we've been following through social media and digital media. So hopefully they're not setting a precedent for what's about to come, because we think we've got our fill, right, of Billionaire Bros right now.
Yeah, I kind of think we do. I was just a few weeks ago when the founder of Spanx sold her company, and gave every one of her employees tickets anywhere in the world, first class. I think it was $10,000, and I was like, that is a great counterpoint to the Billionaire Bros who are spending millions and millions on 10 minutes in space. So yeah, do you want to?
Yeah. So let's look at the nominees and the.
Yeah. I have a colossal envelope. The winner is the brilliance.
I hope it has a big check in it, big novelty check.
He won't need it. So the winner is the brilliance of the billionaires, Elon Musk, who has really captured our attentions over the past year or so.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we're in a situation where we will be musked out for a long time, as they say. And we're gonna, everyone's about how their profile and story will continue. And if they're leaving the planet to do it, then who knows where they'll stop, if they will stop, if they will be stopped.
It will be stopped. I think that's probably that's what's more likely. All right.
And we have one more, right?
That's
we
right.
have one more award.
Most pointless rebrand. This is the funniest category to me. The most pointless rebrand of 2021. And this is when you just ask, why? Why did you spend all of this money and time? Like, what really were you trying to accomplish? Let's see the nominees for who spent a lot of time and a lot of money for no reason.
Oh, yes. Well, I think we can both say that regardless of who wins, the real winners are the agencies who build their clients for any of those campaigns, because they are having their bonus parties right now while we sit here and talk about their thirstiness. Do you want to go ahead and announce the winner? Or is it?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's your turn. You go.
Oh, So the winner is, according to Chewbacca, is CIBC. The banking institution known as CIBC is the winner of the most pointless rebrand. So next time you want to go into CIBC to get your Rogers phone repaired, feel free to do so, because that confusion is bound to happen. I think that's it for us right now. Right?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's exactly it. It totally looks like you're like, is that Rogers or CIBC? It just looks the same to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also Renault, the car brand.
That's right. Yes. That was really pointless. And I was like, why did they think anything was wrong with the old one? Why did they go to something that was so generic and looked like someone else's brand? Their marketing team is doing well, though.
Did anyone have thoughts on ads? Will, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, but to Mohit's point, the hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars that were raked in doing these pointless rebrands is kind of funny when you think about it. Also, I was going to say the commentary on these billionaires during COVID, when people are unserved, people are losing their jobs, yet we live in a capitalist society where the rich got richer. It's really an interesting. That's the phenomenon maybe of 2021. More billionaires, more people struggling. Interesting, yeah.
Darian, I know that in the segment coming up, there's a counterpoint to the billionaire bro coming. But what were your thoughts about those categories? Did you have comments on any of the ads in the ad category?
I just love that they touched people's hearts and people went for it and they tried things and they got them done quickly. Typically ads took so long to get put out. And I think we have a lot to thank Mr. Deadpool / the guy, Mr. Ryan Reynolds from Vancouver, BC. And he really, I think, stirred up the ad industry by being able to say you can do ads quickly and you can turn things around. And in a sense, you can mix newsjacking with advertising. And I think a lot of organizations finally said, hey, an ad or a commercial doesn't take 3 to 4 to 6 months to produce. We can do it quickly and timely, and it will really resonate with people. So thank you, Ryan, if you're watching. Appreciate what you've done to shift our industry.
I love that. I think that you make a great point there. Speaking of Ryan, I think it's important to give sort of a shout out to one of the other entries in the newsjacking category, which is Bruce. I think you're gonna want to look that up if you don't know the story of Ottawa Public Health and how they sort of talked about Bruce, who forgot to put on the winning team's logo on the announcement tweet, and hilarity ensued. Ryan Reynolds got involved, and so that sort of agility and newsjacking, that's awesome. Martin, what are your thoughts on this category or this set of categories?
Well, I agree with what Darian was saying, that it's really true. This may have spurred the ad industry to, ahead 25 years, where you can newsjack and create commercials fast. I loved the extra gum one. I loved it because it was like looking in the mirror. I mean, we all, as wonderful as we look here today, during the pandemic, kind of maybe didn't take as good care of ourselves from a grooming perspective. Not speaking personally, but, and so when we saw it, people going out there in bathrobes, just looking like the great unwashed, it kind of touched a chord, even though it was really funny, and it also was heartwarming, which I usually don't like in commercials, but it felt right. Now, if they do that again or something similar to that, it'll probably fall down because it's timing, right? Like in comedy. For the billionaires, bro, I actually disagreed with the winner. I thought it was all of them. Really, they're all kind of, they were in that category for a reason. And honestly, during the pandemic, it would have been kind of nice to see some good come out of them, because they have the resources they all have is, are incredible. And yet they didn't say, okay, you know what? People are hungry. Let's feed people. People, need help paying rent. Let's pay their rent. They could have done so much, and yet they just, they were just themselves. Let's say that. And Mohit, your point about ad agencies, that was hilarious. They were the big winners in that branding category. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay, so we're gonna get Megan and Darian to stay on stage while the rest of us remove ourselves so you can see the next lot.
Hello, hello. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you as well. Hello.
So we have 3 categories we're doing, but the first one up is the Power Podcast. What's your thoughts on that?
You know what? I love a good podcast. But I will admit, I actually produce a podcast, Marketing News Canada. But I personally tend to only listen to podcasts with my children these days. So we listen to Circle Round, which is these amazing like 15 to 20 minute stories. But my wife will often listen to podcasts and tell me about all the things I'm missing in the more adult-orientated, smart, intellectual podcast world.
Yeah, I'm a podcast junkie too, and I have been since my kids were young and I was at home with them when they were really young, and that kept me sane. Yeah. You know, my poor husband, when he used to walk in the door, I'd be like, guess what I heard on the podcast? So, you know, I am a junkie as well.
And there's something for everyone. Like I have a teenage son, we'll listen to The Great Debaters on CBC because it's hilarious. And I personally, when I do have time, Malcolm Gladwell, Revisionist History, I am a huge fan of. But it got to the point actually where if I would listen to it while driving, a few of them would get me crying. And I'd be crying and I have to pull over to the side of the road because I'm like, I can't drive. It's so emotional. They're so well done.
Yeah, and well, I have a podcast too, but I was a history major in university. So I always listen to stuff you missed in history class. And although my teens won't listen to that, but I just love it. There's so many we could go on about.
Yeah.
So we had three, I'm just going to find them. We had 3 that we were looking at. And why am I missing my thing here? Okay. So the first one was Spotify. We had Amazon and Apple subscription. Oh, am I jumping ahead? I'm jumping ahead. And let's see our categories. So what'd you think?
I love them all, and I feel like they're all winners in their own regard. Everyone is special and should at least get a participatory little ribbon.
And the winner is, I didn't make a very special thing, but Spotify.
Woo, Spotify. You know, I will admit, I actually jump between Spotify and Apple myself personally. I'm both and even Audible, because they have some really cool, unique podcasts just on Audible.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I do. I tend to listen to Apple more, but the reason why I like Spotify is because it's a family adventure. Yeah. And that's the one thing that we all listen to is Spotify, even the teens, and the teens listen to their podcasts on Spotify. So it's a family love thing.
You know what's fun about podcasts is that if we think about when radio started, like, we got this CD set. I remember I aged myself here for my family when we go on these road trips, and it was the Narnia series. It was these 7 CDs, and we put them in the car, and we listened to them, and it was this beautiful audio drama. And I feel like we're in this new era where like we'll sit around eating dinner with my kids and we'll listen to this story, and it stimulates that imagination in such a beautiful way. And I love that audio is taking over real estate from TV.
Oh, yeah, me too. You know, I listened to CBC growing up religiously. My folks always had it on. So this is kind of I started listening to CBC podcasts. That was the first thing that I learned about podcasts from.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Our next category, I think, is a very cool category, the female unicorn of 2021, which I think is awesome. Like, we got to celebrate some amazing females, and especially female unicorns, which there's, something to celebrate right there, because unicorns are awesome.
Yeah. And this was one where I had a lot of difficulty choosing out. It really, honestly, it was almost impossible for me to choose.
Yeah.
because every single one had their own unique contribution. And it's too bad it's a unicorn, eh? It's too bad it's a unicorn in some ways. But yeah, it was outstanding. So our nominees are, so that you know who we're talking about.
I think we got a video coming up. How do you choose? How do you choose?
I mean, that was outstanding women.
But Megan, why don't you tell us who the winner is this year?
And the winner is Joanne Griffin of NYX. And boy, that was hard. But she, this is kind of a bit personal for me because I'm part of an angel investor. I tune into the angel investors here in Ottawa about females getting funding, getting capital for female entrepreneurs, especially in tech. And I heard stories firsthand of women who could not get, couldn't get any funding because they literally were pregnant. And so it was said, do not appear in front of anyone pregnant if you're looking for money. So this is outstanding. And her products are great. I can say, honestly, I was kind of wrestled with it at first, the product. I was like, I didn't really get it, but it's an outstanding product.
Yeah, no, and what I know from an advertising perspective, they work with Sarah, also known as Birds Papaya, which I think is so cool, and who's a huge advocate for real beauty, real people, unphotoshopped photos of real true bodies. So huge fan of their collabs with Birds Papaya that they've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, there was just so many outstanding women there. I can't say it. I'm a huge Sarah Blakely fan as well. Yeah, I mean, she's Miss Mindset, so she talks about mindset constantly, and I loved everything about. There's we could spend the whole time with those talking about those women. So I enjoyed that, and we have our last category here. So this is TikTok trend of 2021. Are you a big TikToker?
I will admit, yes, I both dabble in it professionally and personally. So but I do love the fact that they self-professed. They didn't wait for Apple to create it, but they self-professed that they know they're so addictive that they actually have a health monitoring device within the app that says if you are watching and viewing for more than an hour, we will warn you, which I think is such a cool, confident admittance that they are awesome.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of TikTok, except that it appears on my Twitter a lot or in my social media things. Yeah. And I think that I can safely say I'm addicted to all the animal TikToks. Mm-hmm. I think that is like the pleasure thing I have in my day is all the animal TikToks.
Yeah. So, okay, random fact for you of the day, Canadian news-wise, Joshua Bloom was the first employee of MySpace Canada, the first employee of Facebook Canada, and then the first employee of TikTok Canada. Wow. And I was asking him this question. I said, why has TikTok done so well? Because he's been there for all the social channels and seen them all. And he said it was the minute that they said, you have to have the audio on. And so you experience TikTok like an entertainment system, whereas all the rest, like Instagram, Twitter, you scroll through it. Whereas TikTok, it is like watching TV. And it's so true because you want the audio on, you want the multi-sensory experience, and thus it becomes even more addictive and way more interesting.
I can tell you that my ADD friends are having a problem with TikTok. Yeah. They literally will say to me, woo, got to get off the TikTok. So it's perfect for ADD personalities.
Yeah. Well, let's find out what the three potential winners were, what the three trends were. Here we go. Wow. Also good.
Yeah.
All amazing. And there's new trends coming almost every day, every week. There's more and more trends coming, whether it's the, making a food, pouring sauce on it, and then doing the dance right after, whatever the latest trend of the week is. But this last year's winner, drum roll please, was feta pasta. Congratulations to feta. Congratulations to pasta. Both of you make sure have a great time at the after party, because you're both going to have a great time together, because together you are a good pair and have lots to celebrate.
I love it.
So good. It was so good.
Do we have to do a hands up and see who actually tried the feta pasta bake? I did. Who else? Anyone else?
I'm going to.
Just Susan and I. What do you think, Susan? Did you actually like how it tasted?
Not really.
Yeah, me neither. I was kind of
underwhelmed. Maybe I expected too much from it. But that said, I tried it, and I know a bunch of my friends did. So, there's a little statement for where we get our influences from these days, right? As we decide what we do with our free time. Mohit, any thoughts on the categories?
The discussions have been so awesome around the categories that I've been picking up points, and I almost feel like we're having a huddle rather than presenting awards, because in the conversation ends up becoming both, in the last one, I got some tips about podcasts. Speaking of which, if I could plug one real quickly, I am host of a podcast starting in the new year called The Future of the Internet. So definitely look out for that, because we're going to be having conversations about a lot of the types of things that we're talking about right now, about who's in control next and how you can use it for advocacy, etc. And I'm super excited that Spotify won. I feel like Spotify is going to be one of the platforms that we're going to start to look at as an actual network, and not just a place to pick up, on podcasts and recommendations and stuff. Their connected TV application that they've launched now, where they're going to be able to maybe even bring that old MTV feeling back to the center of the household, but also be mobile and family friendly. And then the last very quick point I wanted to make was that the health monitor on TikTok, from what I've learned, is a direct result of the fact that in China, they've got a very popular TikTok competitor called Douyin, and Douyin has introduced that as part of their newer ways to actually crack down on children scrolling to the infinite scroll, etc. And TikTok has mirrored some of the features that they've had there to control some of that, from what I've learned. But that's just a little tidbit that I wanted to share as a result.
I love that. Thank you for that. Andrea, talk to me about the women category and the counterpoint to the billionaire bro.
Yeah, so I think I'd mentioned it earlier, the difference between how Sarah responded to being, again, a billionaire, and what, Elon and Richard Branson and some of the others in the categories. And I think it underscores why, and this is a generalization, but it really does underscore why it's important that women have money and have economic power, because generally speaking, when women have money, they reinvest, right? They give to their employees, they invest in the community, they give to charity in a way that's not being shown by the billionaire bros. If we look at the example of Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, who is like trying as hard as possible to give away her billions in a way that her husband is not. And so, yeah, that's obviously a cause near and dear to my heart. I work with women entrepreneurs all the time and can see the motivation to build these businesses. And the beautiful thing is that we can do it in a way that's not been done in the past, right? So I think sometimes there's been obviously we live in a capitalist society, and there's been the expectation that if you make money, you have to make it by cutting corners and treating your staff badly and, doing all these kind of old rich guy TM type of activities. And I think this new generation, the Sarah Blakeleys and the Joanna Griffiths of Nix, etc., to be able to do it in a way on their own terms, in a way where they're treating staff well, where they're giving back to their community and actually doing good things with their money is really great to see.
Well said. Martin,
can I just have one other? Sorry.
Yes, of course. We love it.
One other thing I wanted to say, not on that, and on a more frivolous topic, but I'm a recent convert to TikTok, and it is completely addictive. What I'm fascinated with TikTok is how accurate the algorithm is. Like I'm on all the social platforms, and TikTok knows exactly what I want to see in a very scary. Like I am quite concerned about it. Like how much information are they able to get from us to be able to so accurately produce what it is that you want to see? Anyway.
So true.
Will, do you want to talk about the Astro World thing in that context? The Astro World videos that were surfacing that we were talking about?
No, it's true. As soon as you watch one thing, and you could actually spend too long on one video that you're like, I never want to see this again, but too late. You stayed too long on that one video, and now you're going to see it over and over again. For anyone out there who is making TikToks, I spoke to someone actually who works at TikTok, and I asked her for one tip for getting more views. And maybe this was obvious to everyone. It wasn't to me, but she was like, create in the actual TikTok app, right? So creating the video outside and then uploading it, you're going to get a lot less views than if you create in it. Although for me, I still haven't figured out how to do what I want to do. Creating within the app, I'm very much a create then upload. Anyway, so there's the tip. You want more views, create in the app itself. Makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Martin, are you a TikToker?
No, and I'll tell you why I'm not, because I'm scared of them. I'm scared of the algorithm. I really am. And I'm scared of where the data is and how much they know. And, to your point, Will, about TikTok saying, hey, create in the app. That's what Facebook said about videos. Hey, don't just share your video from YouTube. Just upload them to Facebook. In other words, they get all that data. I mean, it's super entertaining. Whenever I go there, I am completely addicted. It's funny. I used to love Snapchat. I still like Snapchat a lot, but I don't use it very much because none of my friends are on it. If you look at the Snap map, I see there's me in Toronto, and I have to go all the way around the world to find 2 or 3 other people. It's a pretty lonely world there. But I think, in the way that Snapchat wasn't really is a very innovative platform. And kudos to them for not selling out and having a bit of a rough ride, but really leading the pack in augmented realities. TikTok's doing the same kind of thing. They're really the 2 super innovative companies that the older Silicon Valley behemoths, if I can call them that, are copying a lot. And, it's that kind of innovation is great, but, where is the rest of the innovation coming from? And why can't we see more of that? Partially because the big companies are so big and they choke it out or buy them. Sorry, that's a down note for a celebration. I don't mean that. Yay, TikTok. It's great.
Very gala right there, Martin. I love that. All right, so we're down to the last category of the night. Everyone will be back in a second to chat about who won that. But Will, now it's you and I for a second. How are you feeling about this? We started with a random idea, and here we are.
I know, and this has been a fun night. I'm glad all of our panelists have been great. The categories, I think, have been entertaining, and as Mohit said, the discussion after has been quite interesting too. So I'm having a good time. Yeah, how are you feeling?
I like it. It's like, oh my goodness, look, it's actually happening. It's quite fun because you know what? We could have spent an hour on a webinar. We could have done this. And, we like to complicate things as much as we possibly can. So here we are. So this is the last category. And the category, do you want to set it up, Will?
Yeah, so it's Woman of the Year. We spoke about many great women over the course of this year on Thirsty Thursday and in the Thirst List. What I love about the women who are nominated, Susan, is most of them are young, under 30, some under 20. And, for anyone who's worried about, this next generation, what are they going to get up to? Like, this is an example of some amazing, very young people that were nominating for Woman of the Year. And, the majority of them, it was because they found their power. They stood up for themselves. They stood up to power. And that had such an impact on not just other women their age, but all of us. So I thought the list was a great short list that we have. What about you?
Although we didn't do much to a short list. We were like, here are all the awesome people of the year. Now you decide, judges. Yeah, so here are the nominees, folks. There's 7 power names. So hard to decide there.
Very, very. You know what? I can't even remember who I voted for because I'm like, oh, I would have voted for her, and her. So I really can't remember who I voted for.
Oh, look, her. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to drag this out for a second more and say, listen, this one came down to a tie. We had to reach back out to people and ask again, and then it tied again. So, in true Canadian fashion, at the advice of some reputation management experts, which may or may not be Martin Waxman, we've decided to give everybody a medal. So it's going to be two people. The two people came down to Simone Biles and Amanda Gorman, folks.
Very cool. Very cool. I sorry, go ahead.
Go on.
Go bring everybody back in. I might have actually, I think I might have voted for Simone because it was quite powerful to see this woman who her whole life had been set up to compete in these many events in gymnastics at the Olympics, like bow out because her head wasn't right. Number one, she could have hurt herself, but also that was more important than these gold medals, which is so not what we're taught to think, right? So that was had such an impact, I think.
Pitch in, folks. What does everyone think? This is the most Canadian panel ever. No one's going to speak.
You know what? When in doubt, apologize and make it a tie. That's the rules of life that I live by.
There you go.
And don't be a billionaire. Just be comfortable.
What I like about today is the archival nature of what we're doing and being able to look at this. Maybe if we did this even, you can almost do this every month because so much goes on in the news these days. Almost do it every quarter. But at least if we look back in a year from now, it'd be neat to actually look back on this episode and then to see what's new and what's current and what has shifted, what has changed. So thank you so much for organizing this. This is so cool, so neat, and so appreciated, I think.
That's awesome.
The people here on the call.
Thank you. Maybe because of that, Darren, this is going to be the first annual Marketing First Awards. Andrea, comments?
Are you trademarking this? We're going to do it going forward? I'm just joking. But no, I think I can see why there was a tie. I think Simone Biles for me really was that idea that you can push back and really prioritize yourself and your mental health and your well-being. I was not that self-assured at that age to be able to do it. And I think it's really nice to see young women in society standing up for themselves and standing up to look out for themselves, even with the pressure of the world on their shoulders. So it's good to see. I'm like happy that my daughter is growing up in an environment where that's going to be more and more the norm for young women.
Megan?
That was hard. They were all outstanding. Well, I mean, I have a special spot for Amanda Gorman. I mean, I could listen to her all day long. I mean, her poetry, it feels like every time she speaks is poetry. But I also like how she has been talking about innovation, using her fame and very quick fame. She was talking about how many followers, for example, she had as she came off the inauguration, how she has negotiated with her fame, when she negotiated with Estee Lauder and what she decided to do with it and what her aspirations are. I mean, yeah, exactly what Andrea's saying. Thank God that our daughters will see a woman. And she even declared she was going to be president of the United States one day, which just made my heart sing. But she's also using her fame for social, she advocating socially. My brain is going at this time. So yeah, she particularly, although yes, with Simone, what a brave thing to do. What a brave thing after everything also that she has been through with Nasser, and it made my heart break. And for her to have advocated for mental health is something we'd never seen before. And the criticism she received is unbelievable. Like, it was unbelievable, people's reaction to her. So yeah, these women have more guts than anybody.
It's absolutely awesome. With that, we're absolutely at the mark of 5, folks, and we'd like to keep it on time around here. So thank you very much, judges, for joining us. That was a fun way to spend an evening and look at all of the inspiring comms, marketing, media out there. So thank you.
Thank you. This was amazing.
Bye, and congrats to you guys for planning it. Thanks.
Yes.
Excellent. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.